Hello, and welcome to the Seaswells Gallery and Reading 2020. Seaswells is College of Coastal Georgia's student literary art journal. The mission of Seaswells is to showcase the writing, art, and photography of CCGA students in order to foster important modes of thinking and connecting. The student-run journal is a collaborative effort between JOR 1000 students, Seaswells Club members, our faculty advisor, and students who contribute their work. Seaswells serves as a gathering ground for artistic modes of thinking. As Edward Hirsch, poet and former president of Guggenheim Foundation, reminds us, the arts gives us a way of thinking that you can't get in other places. A healthy democracy needs a healthy world of arts. Physical copies of the journal will be available later, but for now, please enjoy the digital version available now with the link provided. It's also available as a PDF file attached to an email we plan to send to all the students, faculty, and staff. Please email us at cswells@ccga.edu if you didn't receive it. Meet the 2020 editors. Lauren Moyer is an artist from Brunswick, Georgia, who is currently a student working on a degree in interdisciplinary studies at CCGA. Krishawn Turner is me. I'm a freshman at CCGA who enjoys drawing, playing video games, and taking long walks around the lake at sunset. I have nothing published anywhere yet, but I decided to join the team of editors for a closer look at the process behind publishing. Kristen Doherty is a psych major at CCGA, now in her junior year. She has a passion for writing, working with children, and a love for animals, especially pets. Professor Jessica Lillihan is the faculty advisor, who is incredibly grateful to work with the diligent student editors and overjoyed to see such amazing submissions from the student body. The fall 2019 editors, Caitlin Breitenbach, Vanessa Montoya, and Opal Sanchez were also a big help. Thank you all so much for making this possible.
Hello, I'm Dr. Lillihan, faculty advisor for Seaswells. On behalf of Seaswells, congratulations to all students who submitted your work. We wouldn't have a student literary art journal without you. Additional congratulations to all students who were selected to appear as contributors to Seaswells 2020. Those students include Josue Angeles Barrera, Rebecca Bohart, Danielle Breeding, Mackenzie Buck, Mary Bell Caldwell, Layla Campbell, James C. Carpenter, Pearl Daughtry, Benjamin Davis, Isabel Del Aqua, Kristen Doherty, Dakota Ellis, Gregory Graham, Hunter Gross, Bridget Hancock, Caitlin Higginbotham, Benjamin Kemp, Faith King, Travis Lantrip, Tron Lee, Monica Linares, John Edward Menachino III, Rebecca Moore, Mahir Patel, Alize Portu, Anna Radance, Priscilla Ring, Miles Sandoff, Kristen Tudisco, Charlotte Warder, Jonathan Widner, Zachariah Williams. Now, stay tuned to find out if you or someone you know is a winner in our photography, poetry, art, or prose contest this year. If you are a winner, keep an eye on your student email. We'll need some paperwork in order to process your prize money. And if you don't have an email from us within the next week, go ahead and email me at the address you see on your screen. And be careful with those L's and I's. After we announce all contest winners, we will hear from Coastal President Dr. Johnston. Then we will enjoy students discussing and reading their work in all categories before we make some final announcements. And now, without further ado, the moment we've all been waiting for, our contest winners.
And now, the photography contest. Firstly, congratulations to Kristen Tudisco for being chosen by the student editors to win Editor's Choice with View from Above, which can be seen on page 43 of the journal. The next 4 pieces were chosen by our photography judge, Dr. Kimberly Kinsey-Nanahan. She is an associate professor of psychology and director of surface learning and undergraduate research at CCGA. She studied photography at the University of Arkansas while working on her PhD in psychology and continues to be a passionate amateur photographer today. Our winner for Best Color is Ba by Mackenzie Buck, which can be found on pages 22 through 23. The judge said the subtlety and use of restraint with color in this photo is its strength, and the color becomes part of the artistry without being its master-sided attribute. It's also just a fun photo. In black and white, Benjamin Davis won with View from Below, which is on pages 28 through 29. The judge had this to say: the photograph has a strong dynamic range and a lot of energy, but what really draws me in is the mystery of the implied narrative. For Computer Enhanced, the winner is Untitled by Maribel Caldwell, located on page 6. The judge commented that this image boldly embraces the use of computer enhancement as the artistic process, which is what this category is all about. The computer is the most essential tool, not the camera. And the overall winner for all of photography is Maribel Caldwell with Untitled, which you can find on pages 2 through 3. Here's what the judge said. This image is the overall winner because it most completely merges all of the elements of photography: beautiful composition, beautiful use of color, beautiful lines and structure, and evokes emotion. Overall, it just made a connection with me as a viewer.
And now, the Seaswells 2020 Bar Poetry Contest. Our editor's choice, selected by our student editors, is Safety Scissors Won't Start the Revolution by Alize Portu. Here's a little bit from the poem, and you can read more on page 50. All people grow older, but not all can grow upwards. In Georgia, they have flowers with stems so straight and tall, you'd think they were pointing to heaven, and I stare at them while I drive on the 341. Can't they feel the heaviness in the air, on our collective shoulders? I went to cut out my heart with this jagged knife, these scalloped safety scissors, until I realized it is not my own flesh I am craving, not my own blood I want drawn. Special thanks to our Bar Poetry Contest judge, who judged 3rd through 1st place. Dr. Elizabeth Wirtz is an associate professor of English here at Coastal. Her poetry and nonfiction have appeared in Quarterly West, Crazy Horse, Rattle, the Southeast Review, Serendipity, the Black Lesbian Literary Collective, Oh Dark 30, the Literary Journal of the Veterans Writing Project, GSU Review, PoetryPotion.com, and the Gay and Lesbian Review Worldwide. Quarterly West nominated her nonfiction essay, What Will You Tell Her?, for a pushcart. 3rd place, It Takes a Village by Alize Portu. Our judge had this to say about the piece. Celebrating matriarchal lineage and communal unity, It Takes a Village asks us to visualize that, together, we are planting lifelong love in this earth. Line 18. The speaker offers a cosmology and a vision of the future in which all humans, all sentient beings, and the environment are interconnected and in harmony. I admire that the poem's speaker acknowledges each person's role in achieving balance. In the barren, bleak summers, I'll go barefoot and harvest my fair share. Line 19. Here's a little bit from the poem, and you can read the rest on page 45. All of life began at the apex of a woman's thighs. She was my mother, and she is yours too. She wants us all to howl. She wants all of her children to laugh, to hold hands round the fire and mourn. You are my sister. You are my brother. I am the accumulation of you and my mother and my aunts and my grandmothers. Cut me open, and therein will be the roots and the fire and the garden and the wolves. 2nd place, Ellie by John Edward Minicino III. Our judge had this to say. To the speaker's beloved, Ellie is an invitation to participate in an endless waltz. Though each music-filled stanza ends with the speaker's request for one more night, the entreaty proposes that the couple will move forever with hands intertwined. Line 2. I appreciate the rhythmic, hypnotic effect of the poem. Here's a little bit from Ellie, and you can read more on page 39. To dream, to desire, to love, to lust, feelings once lost to antiquity now combust. My body yearns for more and my mind takes flight. When you cross my mind, I crave just one more night. Twisting and twirling in this endless waltz, when choosing you there are no faults. Without a doubt, you are my shining light. So please, I beg, give me just one more night. And 1st place, Be Me by Travis Lantrip. Our judge had this to say. In Be Me, the speaker confronts the danger of defining one's self-worth through competition with others. The spelling bee error that humbles the speaker becomes the poem made from self-reflection, personal growth, and descriptive language. Here's a little bit from Be Me, and you can read more on page 5. Blink. I'm on stage in a fun house surrounded by distorted mirror versions of myself. Bigger, smaller, taller, shorter, smarter. Blink. The microphone is mine, the word is given, and it was just me, and that wasn't enough. Ring the bell, I know I'm wrong. Ring it twice, I'll be wrong again soon. Walk me off stage with the other losers as I obsess over the letters I couldn't string together. R-E-A-L. Was any of it? Am I?
Now it's time for the art contest. Chosen by the editors for Editor's Choice is No Man's Land by Lila Campbell, which can be seen on page 38. The next 3 pieces were chosen by our judge, Professor Aurora Pope. She's an assistant professor of art at CCGA. She received her Master in Fine Arts in Painting from East Tennessee State University and holds an RT Baccalaureate in Anthropology from the University of Georgia. While her focus in studio is on painting, she also enjoys book arts, drawing, and paper casting. In her spare time, she can often be found in her garden. Third place is Sacrifices by Lila Campbell, page 30, which the judge liked because of the successful combination of graphite and color. In second place is Hedy Lamarr Portrait by Zechariah Williams, which is on page 16. The judge said that it has nicely realized value. And in first place, we have The Hawk by Zechariah Williams on page 10. The judge commented that it has nice graphic quality and composition. The use of both pages and the fact that the image is off-centered is compelling.
Now it's time to find out the winners of the Seaswells 2020 Austin Garner Prose Contest. Editor's Choice, I Feel It Too by Gregory Graham. Here's a little bit from that piece, and you can read more on page 32. Being coaxed out by the power of his musical gesture, the serum in my coffee set in and the truth expelled from my lips. I feel laughter. I feel sorrow. I spoke with mild distrust. I feel hope, and I caught myself. His reaction was natural, yet his eyes appeared as though they were deciphering my soul anyway. I feel it too. At that moment, I felt my heart bloom with excitement. Many thanks to our Prose Contest judge, who selected 3rd through 1st place. Professor C.H. Hooks is the author of the novel Alligator Zoo Park Magic. His work has appeared in places such as American Short Fiction, Burrow Press, Four-Way Review. He's been a Tennessee Williams Scholar and a contributor at Sewanee Writers Conference and attended Disquiet, Dzanc Books International Literary Program. He's a lecturer here at Coastal, and he received his MFA from the University of Tampa. In 3rd place, Lines Composed 2,650 Miles from Seattle by Miles Sandoff. The judge had this to say about this piece. A stream of consciousness piece that rolls in language and delights in descriptions. Poetic prose is used as an homage to home. Here's a little bit from that, and then you can read more on page 46. In my wildest dreams, O destined companion of mine, how I wish you could see, feel, taste, and love the metropolis that is seen as home in my heart. The chance of support, the music of the native people, the refreshing climate, the lack there of insects at dusk. The smell of the ocean and the activity of the people would call you to name this home as well. With knowledge of the municipality, a part of you may be missing. When the dust settles, there is plenty to tell about my place of comfort. When the lights are bright, she seems to shine the brightest. Though dark times have come before these moments, the beauty illuminates through it all. The city of the ocean, the rave green, the rain, the strange. Seattle is a place I call home, and it has that claim alone. Second place, On Giving Birth by Rebecca Moore. Our judge had this to say: the author builds tension through vivid description. Even though the reader anticipates the inevitability of the end result, this tension pulls the reader through. The mother's response to the narrator during labor makes the reader care for the outcome and root for the narrator. Here's a little bit, and you can read more on page 18. The pain was searing. I saw stars. My ears were ringing. It felt as though my soul was being ripped from my body. I looked to my mother. At that moment, I needed her. I'm afraid, I told her breathlessly. Mom, I'm so scared. She leaned in close to my face. I could smell the cigarettes on her breath. Well, this is what happens when you get knocked up, she retorted. I wanted to vomit. I felt rage well up in place of the fear. I wanted to hit her, beat her with my tired fists. Another powerful surge of pain took away my resolve. I heard the nurses urging me on again. And first place, Yowie by James C. Carpenter. Our judge said, playful prose in a story that keeps the reader wanting to know more about the myth of the Yowie, an enjoyable narrative with a strong voice and a sense of humor. Here's a little bit, and you can read more on page 8. A dark silhouette swung into view, blocking much of his vision of the exit. Earl skidded to a halt, kicking up a thick cloud of dust in the process, serving to only further obscure his vision. His heaving breaths transformed first into a harsh coughing. As his vision cleared and he saw what lay before him, these coughs were choked off in a strangled gasp. Yowie! It was difficult to tell the source of the screeching as tortured screams echoed through the desert night. So every year, when we get our journals hot off the press, during our Seaswells Gallery and Reading event, we hand the first copy of that new edition to the College of Coastal Georgia president and the second copy to the VPAA. In fact, this event used to be called First Copy because this is such a strong tradition. For now, Dr. Johnston and Dr. Evans, please accept these virtual representations of your copies and enjoy the digital version until we can share the print version. Now, here are some words of wisdom from Dr. Johnston.
Thank you to the many, many hands, hearts, and minds that have made this Seaswells reveal so very special, in spite of hurdles and challenges and obstacles. It's no surprise, actually, because as I've found personally, and I know I share this with many artists, that our art is often propelled forward in the face of adversity and the navigation of the unprecedented and the unknown. Seaswells is an incredibly accomplished publication. It's an award-winning tradition, and it's a hallmark and a legacy of the College of Coastal Georgia. Dating back to 1967, it has been through determination and commitment and loads of creativity and artistry that this publication has continued. From Provost Evans and me, to Dr. Malillihan and faculty supporters, to the student editors, your work is so important, as your time and effort reflects the unique and the special place of the arts in the life of the college. This is a college treasure. Congratulations to the winners recognized today and for the amazing work showcased for photography, poetry, art, and prose. As president of the college, I look forward to sharing this work in Seaswells 2020 as a shining example of excellence, expression, and talent at the college. Thank you and congratulations.
And now for one of our favorite parts of this event, the reason we call it Seaswells Gallery and Reading. We will now enjoy students who contributed to the journal, showing and discussing their art for the gallery portion, and reading and discussing their poetry and prose for the reading portion. During an in-person gallery and reading, we loved displaying and discussing many students' wonderful art and photography, and listening to readings and craft talks from our student poetry and prose writers. But due to current circumstances and technological limitations, we have one student presenting for each category. We're excited to share these videos with you. In photography, we have Priscilla Ring with Ebony Coast, which is on page 54. Priscilla Ring is a sophomore at CCGA. Currently, she works at a pottery studio and fills her time with freelance photography in hopes of one day shooting for National Geographic or her own journalistic magazine.
Hi there, everyone. My name is Priscilla Ring. I'm a cultural studies major at CCGA, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my piece, Ebony Coast. First, I just want to say thank you so much to Seaswells for allowing us to still have this online engagement with everyone. It's really been an awesome opportunity to even get my photography mentioned in the Seaswells, so this has been a really great opportunity. Thank you so much, and I'm sure everyone else that's been part of this effort has the same feelings. So thank you so much for allowing us to still be able to collaborate and giving me this platform to talk about my piece. So first thing I want to say is that my photography piece, Ebony Coast, was shot on Driftwood Beach on Jekyll Island. It's a wonderful, awesome place if you've never been. It's a lot of history, a lot of nature, a lot of opportunity to just kind of take a breath and de-stress. So I shoot there a lot because it's one of my favorite places and it's really close to home. Another thing is that the model was another fellow CCGA student. Her name is Awo Kumasa. She's awesome. She's from Africa, and she is probably one of the best people you will ever meet. She's been a model for me for about 3 years now. I've been a photographer for close to 5 or 6 years, and so we've worked together a lot of times. So in this particular shoot, she was very comfortable with me, and I was able to kind of try different things that I probably wouldn't do with other models. She's a really awesome person to know if you've never met her before. I believe she's a business major also, but don't quote me on that. But she's overall just a really great person. So when we were doing this shoot, we really wanted to offer a lot of contrast in the piece. MFA obviously has very dark skin, and I think that it's beautiful, and I wanted to highlight that. So whenever I was choosing the location for this, we chose a dark and gloomy day, and we also went to the driftwood because there was a lot of black in the rocks and a lot, like, the driftwood is a very dark color. So I wanted that to kind of juxtapose with her and her wearing that white sweater against her skin. So that's kind of why I chose that, especially for a black and white composition or even just like a low saturated composition. It was kind of tricky to shoot whenever Emma has such dark skin, but we were able to hit it perfect with the lighting. The way that the sky reflected the light back to her skin made a beautiful, beautiful look, and gave the picture an overall just really nice dreaminess to it. It's a little bit of a surreal piece, and I really love that. I try to do something that's got a little bit of meaning in all of my pieces. So whenever we decided to name this piece Ebony Coast, it also relates back to the thought of Ivory Coast, which is a very notorious place for poaching and ivory black market trade. So we kind of wanted to allude to that, but also keep it still on the side of editorial and very fashion photography, but still have some sort of meaning. So I like to do that with all of my pieces. So if you guys have never seen anything else done by me, you can definitely follow me on Instagram. My handle is @_DeVos_. So if you guys want to check out some of my other work, I have a lot of different weird, surreal photography that's on that page too. And you can definitely just shout out to me, give me an email, or shoot me a DM or something like that if you'd like to collaborate, or maybe we can talk about things. Or if you guys want to know more about the photography I do, I am always open and available, especially right now during the quarantine. So if you guys want to just shoot me a message, I'm happy to talk about it. And thank you so much, Seaswells, again, for giving me a platform to kind of talk about my mindset whenever I was doing this piece. So I hope everyone has enjoyed all of the other videos and just collaborating with everyone and creating on your own. Try and keep your head up, keep your chin up, and stay safe and strong during this difficult time. Thanks. Bye.
In prose, Rebecca Moore with On Giving Birth, which you can read yourself on pages 18 through 19. Rebecca Moore is a first-year student at CCGA. She's an aspiring writer, wife, and mother to 3. She loves riding, motorcycles, and traveling the world.
Rebecca ended up needing us to record her piece for her, and we were happy to do so. Not only is her story itself compelling and masterfully rendered, the craft of the writing, with its pacing and descriptions, its imagery and music, captivates the reader in the best way. In this story, the narrator learns just how strong she really is, and we at Seaswells have had the privilege of learning just how strong our student writers at coastal Georgia are. On giving birth. An event that shaped me and changed my perception was when I became a mother. Going through natural childbirth was one of the most visceral experiences of my life. I genuinely believed I was going to die. I was just a kid, 18, and absolutely terrified. The contractions started one summer morning in June. I woke to a cramp in the muscles of my stomach that I couldn't get rid of no matter how much walking or stretching I did. My stomach was hard as stone. My water broke about an hour later. Over the next 7 hours at the hospital, the contractions became more and more powerful and much more frequent. The pain moved through me like a wave, starting beneath my ribs and undulating through my body to my knees. Once the contractions subsided, I would fall into a blissful momentary stupor and try to rest. I felt the tightening in my stomach again and woke from a daze to find my mother standing near the head of the birthing bed, looking stoic. I didn't expect her to be there. She had not been happy about my choice to have the baby. She hadn't been shy about making that known. This cramp was particularly fierce. Everything started moving very fast. There was noise and chatter and loud machines beeping. "Okay, Mama, it's time to push," the nurse gently told me. So I did. I pushed with everything I had, chin to chest, knees near my ears. The pain was overpowering. Once, twice, 3 times, 10 times we repeated the process. Still there was no progress. "You have to push, honey, push hard," the dark-haired nurse exclaimed. She and the other nurses had concerned looks about them. The doctor was pressing down on my stomach. I couldn't take it. I was exhausted. I had no more strength left in me. At least that is what I thought. With a deep breath and all my might, I bore down again. The pain was searing. I saw stars. My ears were ringing. It felt as though my soul was being ripped from my body. I looked to my mother. At that moment, I needed her. "I'm afraid," I told her breathlessly. "Mom, I'm so scared." She leaned in close to my face. I could smell the cigarettes on her breath. "Well, this is what happens when you get knocked up," she retorted. I wanted to vomit. I felt rage well up in place of the fear. I wanted to hit her, beat her with my tired fists. Another powerful surge of pain took away my resolve. I heard the nurses urging me on again. My mother turned from me and sat down in a chair in the corner. She was expressionless. So I pushed. I pushed harder than I ever thought I could. It was then that I felt this odd lifting feeling. I saw myself as if my eyes were floating near the ceiling, looking down upon it all. There I was, surrounded by women, my red face and contorted and sweaty. I heard their urgent words and pleas. They looked like angels to me. They were all so beautiful. Then I felt a slam and I was back in the bed, the pain as hot as fire. I managed one last guttural sob while bearing down harder than I ever thought I would be able to do. Suddenly there was a gush of warmth, an exquisite release of pressure, and then, finally, a baby. Everything at that moment stopped. The silence was deafening. I could hear my own heartbeat in my ears. It sounded like rushing water. The voices of the nurses broke through. I was surrounded by words of adoration for the new little boy and acclamation for me and the hard work I had endured. I smiled and looked over to where my mother had been sitting. The chair was empty. Nathan's cry was weak at first, like a mewling newborn lamb. He followed up with a bellowing wail so bright and loud that it lit up the room. That sound, the sound of my son's cry, was the most beautiful sound I had ever heard. When the nurse handed him to me, the world disappeared. I held his warm little body to my bare chest. A sense of calm overcame me. I was overwhelmed with emotion. I counted his little fingers and kissed his little toes. I put my nose to his downy head and took in his smell. He smelled like the earth, a deep, musty scent that you sometimes smell after the rain. I knew at that moment I would never be the same person I was before. Here was proof of my bravery and fortitude. Here was proof that I could overcome my fears and do anything I set my mind to. I had done this by myself. I had finally learned exactly how strong I really am.
Then in art, Zachariah Williams of Horse Sketch, ink drawing pose, The Hawk, Hedy Lamarr portrait, and From the Dust, all are in the journal except Horse Sketch, and can be found on pages 8, 10, 16, and 40 respectively. He's a sophomore studying pre-engineering that has been creating art in multiple mediums, such as pencil, ink, charcoal, paint, and digital. He has been drawing since 8th grade and has been taking art seriously in the beginning of 2019. He loves mostly the creative side of art and coming up with art that is imaginative and moving. He's also done small animations, cartoons, comic creation, and is taking commissions.
All right, hey everyone, I'm Zachariah Williams, and I want to go over 5 of my entries into the Seaswells art contest. Thanks to everyone for selecting me for being in the art contest. All right, so start with horse sketch. This one was just basic practice of me drawing animals. I've drawn a number of animals: bears, one tiger, deer, and horses, and I just wanted to get some basic practice. This one was drawn with pencil, basic pencil. Next one is ink drawing pose, is one of my favorite ones. This one was drawn with ink brush and ink pen. I drew this one just with that. I didn't draw any of it first with lead pencil. I wanted to get some confidence in being able to draw without using pencil. It also makes it quicker for you to draw. All right, next one is the hawk. This one was done with a sketchbook. Both of it had left and right parts of the sketchbook that I drawn on. This one was also drawn with just ink brush. I basically just want to get confident again with the drawing of the ink brush and no pencil prior. It's kind of interesting as you go along with drawings like this. You have to sometimes fix some of the mistakes that you made going along with it. All right, so next one is Hedy Lamarr portrait. Hedy Lamarr, she's actually an actor, very old film actor. I actually thought I was drawing Scarlett from Gone with the Wind, but Hedy Lamarr, she played in I think just Conspirators, Samson and Delilah, and a number of old films. I think Samson and Delilah was from 1949, and I got her and Scarlett mixed up. The girl that plays Scarlett, her name is Vivian Leah, and I posted this picture on Reddit, and the guys from Reddit said this isn't her actually, this is a different actor, and they actually look pretty identical. All right, so the next one is From the Dust, and this one is actually my favorite one. From the Dust, I drew this one a couple, I think it took me about a month to draw this one, but I actually had one drawn before it. It kind of got really messy, so I had to start over. Better to draw from left to right if you're right-handed, and better to draw from right to left if you're left-handed. That way you don't smudge your drawing. But this one, I drew this one. This one is based on Genesis 2 and 7. The birth of Adam from the dust. Before above his hand is actually the hand of God that I draw, picking him up or drawing him from the dust. And I want to draw a decent background on it too. I also wanted to practice my background drawing with the mountains in the background, the trees, and the lake on the bottom of it. It's actually one of my favorite. This is my favorite of the 5. But that's my 5 entries. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Glad they are selected. And thanks. See you guys later.
And finally, Elise Part 2 with It Takes a Village, which can be found on page 45. Elise Part 2 is in her 2nd semester at CCGA, working towards a major in biological science with a focus in biomedicine. She has always been a lover of literature, but after growing up in an abusive household, turned to poetry as a tool to cope with PTSD. She writes openly about domestic violence, the importance of community, and about the messiness of healing. She hopes to help others in similar situations by sharing her experiences.
Due to unforeseen circumstances, Elise needed us to read her piece for her. As you heard in her bio, for Elise, poetry is a tool for healing, her own and to help others. She emphasizes the importance of community in her poetry, and we at Seaswells view her poem, It Takes a Village, which she selected for this gallery reading, as emblematic of that celebration of community. Her poems do not flinch from the difficult, which allows her to peer even more deeply into what she calls the messiness of healing, and into the difficult tangled up with the wonderful when it comes to relationships, family, and community. It takes a village. Puzzles like tangled chains of necklaces, knots in my shoelaces, and my mother's hands untying, becoming my hands over time. Generations of problem-solving women, a lineage of long-fingered women with an Irish curse. Witches' blood runs thick and true in these veins. When I peel away layers of myself to reveal the roots, therein lies a bonfire. We, wild and half mad, cheeks flushed with love and heat and whiskey. We are dancing round the pit, howling, snarling, laughing together on the crowded kitchen floor where the seams of our perfect warm bodies meld from a reaction transpired in tenderness. This is my pack, and there is strength in these numbers. Around here we say, it takes a village, generations of matriarchs. Royal blood runs swift and strong in these veins. There in my bones is a Mother's Day garden, teeming with green sustainability. We are planting lifelong love in this earth. In the barren, bleak summers, I'll go barefoot and harvest my fair share. I am starving. I will gorge myself on the ripe affections of my grandmother. All of life began at the apex of a woman's thighs. She was my mother, and she is yours too. She wants us all to howl. She wants all her children to laugh, to hold hands round the fire and mourn. You are my sister. You are my brother. I am the accumulation of you and my mother and my aunts and my grandmothers. Cut me open, and therein will be the roots and the fire and the garden and the wolves. We asked Alizé to explain a little bit of the process behind writing this poem, It Takes a Village, and here's what she said. I grew up in a really close family of women, always helping each other with everything, always together. Our survival depended on each other, my village, and that's what I was thinking about when I started writing this poem. I wanted them to know how much I loved being raised the way I was. The bit about the fires is true, and the Mother's Day garden, even the Irish curse, but that's a long story. They are our traditions. When I write, I aim to create something others can feel a part of, like maybe they were there with me. And I got to thinking that if the whole world was like my village, we could take care of each other a little better. Especially in times like these, it's so important to stand together, and I just want everyone who hears this poem to know that they are my family too, that we are all a family, and we need to look out for each other. We have buckets of gratitude to so many for helping make Seaswells 2020 happen. Dr. Umphras, everyone at Student Affairs and Student Life, thanks to the support from Dr. Johnston and Dr. Evans, to all of our judges, to the Austin Garner supporters, to the bar supporters, to the foundation, to our readers. I'd like to thank all of our student editors who have worked tirelessly through fall semester, through this semester, over breaks. They've worked, and to all of our contributors. This is what really makes Seaswells Seaswells. I'd also like to bring your attention to this poem, this iconic Seaswells poem. Seaswells has been around since 1967, and Phyllis Barr wrote this poem in 1970, and it has appeared in some place in the journal in most every edition ever since. Seaswells. Sea sounds, surf, gull cries, and sandpipers, ever near us here, if we but seek and let the sound and sight inspire. Sun and shadow, song and sorrow wander in the heart, awaiting utterance. Eagerly the wind supplies the melody, lest the song be lost, and we, longing for a fragment of the universe, sing before our voice is swallowed by the wind.
And this concludes the Seaswells Gallery and Reading. Each year we create a limited number of magnets with the contributors' names over the cover photo, like you see here, and we still will this year. More information on them will be available when the campus reopens. Print journals will be available when the campus is once again open, but until then, digital copies are available at the link in this PowerPoint and will be emailed to the entire school. Congratulations to graduates. We hope you'll keep in touch. Those of you who are not yet graduating, we encourage you to submit in the fall. You can find submission information in the journal and at our website, ccga.edu/Seaswells. Thank you to everyone that made this possible, and thank you for watching our gallery and reading.